What's up, nerds? It's Austin from Simply Nerdy, and today we're diving into something truly special, one of the exclusive short stories from Stormlight Lost Tales. These gems were unveiled at this year's Dragonsteel Nexus, where fans unraveled the stories piece by piece through an incredible card collecting and trading experience featuring stunning art and hidden secrets. Now, out of respect for Brandon Sanderson's wishes to keep the full text of these stories exclusive, I won't be sharing the entire tale. Instead, I'll read a short snippet for you and showcase some of the amazing artwork that came with it. Just for some context, this story takes place near the beginning of Words of Radiance when the Ghostbloods attack the Wind's Pleasure in an assassination attempt on Jasnah's life, which apparently works. The story is from Jasnah's perspective, detailing her escape into Shadesmar after tricking the Ghostbloods into thinking they'd actually killed her, and presumably followed her travels there from that time until she manages to return to the physical realm to be greeted by Wit at the end of Words of Radiance. Elsecaller by Brandon Sanderson and Dan Wells. Jasnah awoke just in time to learn how much it hurts to be stabbed in the chest. She had fallen asleep reading, hoping to find some fact that might numb the dread that had crept into her heart. Then a long, thin blade had crept in after it. What was going on? She smelled smoke and sour sweat from unwashed men. She looked up and saw 3 such men towering over her, axes at the ready. How had they gotten into her room? No, her cabin, on the Wind's Pleasure, taking Shallan to meet Adolin? No, Dalinar. Storms. Why is it so hard to think? The agony in her chest was overwhelming, and she felt her strength oozing out of her. Through her open door, she saw sailors tied up and struggling as more men ran past. Stormlight, Ivory whispered in her ear. Heal yourself, Jasnah. Your death will be. Not yet. She looked up at the looming men and their white-knuckled hands clutching axes. They were expecting her to heal, as if someone had warned them she could. Ghostbloods. Better to let them think they've won and heal myself after they move on. How long can I delay and still come back? She tried to play dead, but the pain in her chest was too great. She took a breath and retched up blood instead. She tried again to feign death, giving in to the spreading weakness as her heart pumped her blood onto the floor. She grew limp, her vision darkened and blurred, all sounds muffled. Her body screamed at her to heal, but she focused on waiting. Not yet. She's dead, said one of the men. Their voices sounded like they came through curtains. Be sure, said another, and Jasnah felt a second blade plunge into her chest, scraping her ribs and thudding into the wooden floor. Now, Jasnah! Ivory's whisper cut through the haze of death in her mind. Heal now! Not yet. I have to... wait. She heard shouts and more thuds, but she couldn't tell what any of it meant. Her body seemed weightless now, or perhaps she had left her body behind. What was I waiting for? Something important. But I'm free now. I can go anywhere I want. All I have to do is let go, drift away. Jasnah! The sound of her name pulled her back. Her eyes had stopped working. She didn't know if her assassins were still watching or if they'd moved to another target. She did know that if she tried to heal with them still in the room, they would kill her again. It would take her a moment to get back to full strength, and during that time she'd be vulnerable. I can else call. Pop into Shadesmar, heal there, then pop back and fight. It would be difficult, but she'd done it before. She drew in all the stormlight from her pouch of spheres, then reached out with her mind for a corner of the world. She grabbed it, lifted it, and turned it like a page, and suddenly the screams and chaos were gone. She landed with a thump. My joy is, said Ivory, and my gratitude. Jasnah channeled her stormlight into healing, and grasped at the rush of pain as her body rebuilt itself. Within seconds, she could see again. Be careful. Ivory was human-sized now, his ink-dark skin shimmering with faint iridescence. He held the fencing blade of the same dark material. If you use Stormlight, enemies will be. The blade in her chest, a long dagger, clattered to the ground, which was dark as obsidian and ringed by crooked crystal trees. Her bones and muscles and organs knit together, and she retched up the last of the blood trapped in her now flawless lungs. Now I have a moment to plan. Specks of light glittered in the air around her, the souls of everyone on the wind's pleasure. The nearby beads were everything on it. Even inanimate objects had reflections in the cognitive realm. She struggled to sit up, her hands and nightgown sticky with blood. How much had she lost? How much did a body require to function properly? She tried to stand, but it was still too much. I hate being weak, Ivory laughed, though there was no humor in it. Sitting up and talking moments after dying? How many humans would consider this weak? My father. I never met him. Jasnah tried again, bracing against a nearby tree, and this time stood up. The light-headed sensation was gone. She took stock of her Stormlight, far, far less than she'd hoped. Damnation! Something bad is? We're trapped, she spat. I don't have enough to get us home again. This is my home. You know what I mean. She let go of the tree, cursing now how easy it was to stand unsupported. Why didn't I save some and heal a little less? If Stormlight is not, said Ivory, we have only one way out, a perpendicularity, which is a place where my world and your world meet, the Sea of Oracles. Where is that on Roshar? The Horn-Eater Peaks. That's weeks away. We'll never make it in time to help Shallan. She might be dead already. Jasnah looked around her as if expecting a solution to appear. All she saw was the weapon that had almost killed her, covered in her own blood. On Roshar, a dagger might be useful, but here? She swatted at the floating lights and then realized they were the answer. I've got it. You can send us back? I can help Shallan. These lights are people on the ship, and these beads are the ropes that bind them. I have just enough Stormlight to change the ropes into water. Convincing objects to change is difficult. Not for me. She reached toward the beads, found the ropes, and commanded them to change. In an instant, the sailors were free, and Jasnah felt their spirits through the light. They stood, they roared in triumph, and they fell. What's happening? Everything was falling. The people, the objects, the rats in the bilges, everything except the boat. Because there was no boat. Jasnah searched for it everywhere, touching each bead, but all that was left was water. No! She screamed. Storms! Shallan! She rolled her eyes. You fool! I just saved you! She had your same plan. The stupidest possible version of my plan. Liquefy the entire ship? Short-sighted, creme-witted girl. She found Shallan's light and pinched it in a fury. What are you going to do now, idiot? Drown in the middle of the ocean? Their shore is near, said Ivory. I can hear the beads. If we are near the sea, Jasnah remembered, they are near land. Everything in Shadesmar was reversed from the physical realm. Land for water and water for land, except Shadesmar's water was a rolling sea of beads. She watched the floating sparks intently, trying to see if her traveling companions would swim or flounder. Don't have any Stormlight left, said Jasnah, but we can... No, we can't. Ivory tapped her on the shoulder. She turned, then looked where he was pointing. Your soul casting has caught attention. Alright everyone, that is it for this episode, but if you enjoyed this preview and would like to be alerted of our Stormlight content or other nerdy shenanigans in the future, then be sure to drop us a like, click subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Until next time, keep it nerdy.